This is gonna be very interactive. We're all gonna participate, get involved. I think maybe we should since we got a lot more people, let's try to move this last row, or this row here to give ourselves a little bit more room as well. All right, so we're gonna play a bunch of games. We're gonna do a lot of practicing. We're gonna talk about things. It's not just gonna be me talking this entire time. So the very first thing, everybody in this room, let's make a circle. Boom, let's all make a circle quickly. Let's make a circle. All right, that was a little slow. A little slow. All right, I mean, there's a point to all this. Okay, break it up, walk to the other side of the thing. Now make another circle again, but truly make a circle. That does not look like a circle. Try to actually make a real looking round circle that doesn't look like an egg, does not look like an octagon or something else. This is better. This is better. Okay, now we're gonna do it one more time, cross, but actually start making eye contact with people. Do the same thing, make another circle, okay? So start looking at the people and be very aware, do not hit anybody as you're doing that. All right. Okay, very good, very good. We're getting into, excellent, and make space, make space. Okay, here's the whole thing. What the point of this little silly exercise right at the beginning is that part of networking is being aware of others and being cognizant of others, and you want to be as perfect as possible. It's hard to be perfect. We can't all be perfect at all. It's very, very difficult to do that. But if you try, if that is your goal, then you're not going to fail, okay? Networking in general is completely an exact science. You're not going to come out of this knowing everything that's perfect, but you will learn some stuff about this, and I also want to learn from all of you. Now, let me just point out who I am and why I think I'm somewhat qualified to talk about this. My name is David Spark, and I am the author of this book right here, which is entitled 3 Feet from 7 Figures, One-on-One Engagement Techniques to Qualify More Leads at Trade Shows. And what my company, which is Spark Media Solutions, offers, in addition to all the content marketing work that we do, is we do trade show training. So how many people have actually worked a trade show booth before? Have you ever worked a trade show booth? Okay. So it's an exhausting, painful experience. It really is. Because you sit there, you stand there in this miniature city that exists for 2 days over a period of maybe 14 hours total, and it's compressed time and space, and you have to figure a way, this person has just walked by me, how do I make an engagement with this person in this very moment, have a positive moment, and then qualify or disqualify, and then push them aside and move on to the next person. This is not how we normally interact. So this exercise that we're all going to do right now is going to be a combination of what we've done for traditional trade show training, but also a lot of stuff that we've done doing just about networking in general. So that's my qualifications. By the way, I do have copies of that I will be selling afterwards if you're interested. LinkedIn rated one of its top marketing books of last year, of 2016, and I'm selling it only for $10 today when it's normally $15 if you buy it on Amazon. But that's end of that advertisement. All right. Let me, though, now learn more about you. Thank you very much for coming to the session. Did anyone actually have some kind of clear idea what they're looking to get out of this? Anyone? So raise your hand and say, I'm interested. Yes.
Anything I don't know.
Well, okay, let's start with this. What don't you know about networking?
Everything I don't know.
But I don't know you. What's your name?
My name is Malcolm Koppa. I'm in the construction industry. I'm not in the software industry.
All right. Well, you have value to networking to people out here because you have interest. You're here. You have an interest in this space. Anyone else have any idea? They're just like, this sounded interesting. I'd show up. Heck, but we all do this. We all network of some sort. So what are you looking to get out of this?
Also to learn strategies or get ideas about how to approach others in a social situation, coming from the introverted, engineering camp.
Okay, perfect. 'Cause we're going to be talking plenty about that. So if that's along your line, then we're definitely going to do that. And does anyone, when they go out to network, ever have a specific goal, or they're just like, I'll just show up? Anyone? And if you do have specific goals, can you share it with us? Anyone? Hand raise. Specific goals? Yes?
Meet interesting people.
Just meet interesting people. Now, what value would that be? Just, well, you like meeting interesting people?
Just smart people or people who are doing something similar to you.
Okay, so you're interested in finding like-minded people, so to expand what you're learning right now. And anyone have more sort of very strategic objectives, like I'm trying to get a client or I'm trying to get a new job? Anything more like that? Yes?
Yeah, I'm trying to get some employees to work for me.
Okay, you're looking for some employees. So you are looking for a specific kind of talent. And so the reason I asked that question is this goes to the whole topic of qualifying or disqualifying people. Now, I don't want to say that people here are disqualified, but we all have certain specific interests, and you don't necessarily want to waste all your time with somebody for which there isn't sort of a mutual understanding or interest, but we all know that one person can connect you to another group. So all people are qualified at some level, and we'll talk about disqualifying people and also ending conversations, which is also a critical little art form as well. All right. Now, let me ask, anyone think, so we've all done networking before, can anyone think about like an amazing networking event you went to, or just a networking moment that you had that you're like, oh, this was incredible. I'm so glad I met this person. It was fantastic. Can anyone think in their mind of a specific, yes? What was it, and describe it?
I used to live in Santa Clara maybe 15 years ago, and there was an event put on by a guy whose name I can't think of, but I was describing it today. There must have been 1,000 people and lined up in tables, and the first thing that instructor did, or the guy who was hosting the event, said, turn to your right, turn to your left, the guy in front of you, person behind you, tell them who you are. And from there on, it was all about networking.
So essentially, it was a structured networking moment, if you will. That's great. That is also excellent. And I've been to events that do exactly the same thing. Anyone else a specific networking moment they can speak to? So, yes.
I was at a meetup not too long ago, and I interfaced with a person who thought that I would be a perfect fit for his company, although I didn't believe that. So I had a difficult time saying the no. But as far as he's concerned, that was his ideal, I guess, moment.
Let me ask you a question about this person that you met. And I'm going to describe a certain kind of person. I actually met one of these kind of people just recently, where they gush upon you so much, and they've just met you, and it becomes to a point where it's kind of disingenuous. Was he like this or no? Yeah. He was like that. Yeah. So, first of all, so here's the thing: is that I don't know if you know any of you know the investor Chris Ye, who's out here. He said a line that I was interviewing him about. He said, "You really can't go wrong complimenting somebody. You can't. You can't go too wrong." But I was I'm not going to name, but I was at some event and I met this guy, and he was kind of gushing about me, and I go, "You've literally known me for 30 seconds. Like, you don't know me enough to think I'm that amazing." And then I just saw him to another person and to another person. I'm like, oh, well, this is his shtick. I mean, this is what he does, and it's, it doesn't mean anything anymore. So and we're going to talk about this, about sort of, about trying to make the experience as good for the other individual as possible, but there is a point where you cross the line, and so that's why I asked that question, cross the line. Anyone else can give you a good example of a great networking moment, positive networking moment, why they loved it so much, or if all your networking experience has been like, it's blah, whatever. No? Can't think of one? Yes?
Well, again, I'm an engineering manager, so always struggling finding good engineers for my team. So one of the things I did was going out to meetup. That happened to be Perl meetup, because we were coding in Perl at the moment. And basically the strategy was to ask the meetup organizer if I can buy pizzas for the participants, and in exchange get 30 seconds of a pitch in the beginning. So that strategy worked amazingly well. For an hour of my time and the cost of 2-3 pizzas, I was able to get 2 great engineers to join our team. So that was very targeted, very purposeful engagement.
So that's excellent. And by the way, I will give you a tip. If there's another group called SF New Tech, if any of you have been to, there's another group called SV New Tech, and I don't know how they run it, but F New Tech. They have these normal presentations, but at the end of the night, they let anyone get up to do a 30-second pitch, and you go to, and people get up and go, I'm looking for engineers, and they do that kind of pitch too, and you wouldn't even need to buy pizzas.
SV New Tech does the same thing.
Awesome. Okay. So I said, all right. So just keep thinking about what would be an ideal networking moment. All right. We're going to play another quick game right now. This game, and then we're going to actually do some actual practice exercises. But this game is called Guardian Angels. So what I want you to do not point. I just want you to look around the room and don't say anything. One person in this room is going to be your killer. All right. But another person in this room is also going to be your guardian angel. Your job, and this is just sort of a spatial game that we're going to, your job is to put your guardian angel between you and the killer. Got it? You see what I'm saying? So when I say go, first of all, point out those two people, who's the guardian angel, who's the killer, all right? We're going to move around, and you're going to keep moving, trying to keep those two people in those places. Got it? Everyone figured it out? All right, everyone got your two people? On your mark, get set, go. There's a major cluster happening over here. I think a lot of people are getting killed. All right. That's all you need to do to play the game. What that is just, this is a game that forces movement. You see, well, all we're doing is we're playing with the space. A lot of times when we go to networking events, we stay in one location, and we're actually also not eyeing people in the room. And this forces that, and that's why we kind of play that game. All right, so let's actually practice. Oh, no, excuse me. Before we do that, someone had mentioned about sort of networking techniques. Good opening lines. Does anyone actually know a good opening line for networking? Want to share one? I have plenty to offer, but anyone have a good one? None. All right, I'll throw a, yes, hold, what's yours?
So it helps if you actually know something about the booth or the person or something that you'd like to share with them. So I prepare for the booth I want to talk to.
So the booth you want to talk to, well, first of all, anytime you go up to a booth, they're happy to talk to you no matter what. You don't even need an opening line.
Well, so I usually ask the questions that gets the guy from the back to come out.
Okay, so you want the questions. Do you have, is engineer XYZ there or something like that? Yes?
And so, you know, getting the guy whose job is to run interference to talk to you is not a problem. Getting the guy who knows stuff is a problem.
That is true. Like, you know, if you've been in a trade show or conference and they have kind of the booth babes working, you kind of, you know, while you kind of know they don't know that much. And by the way, I don't know if you know, a lot of shows have been kind of nixing this because they don't want to turn into a giant sexism event. But one technique that we always train in terms of good opening lines for any event, and it works for an event like a conference or a trade show or something like this where it's sort of a longer day event, not necessarily a single day event. But the opening line of, what's the coolest thing you've seen today? That is a great, great opening line for a multitude of reasons. One is, no matter what, if this person is qualified or not, everyone in this room is an editor of some sort. You know, you've all been to sessions already, and there's some sessions, you probably can all think of one session you loved, right? What was your favorite session?
I don't know.
This one. Okay. I have your answer for you. But you all have, what's your favorite session besides this one?
Project design.
Okay, project design. So, if I ask you, you know, what was your favorite, and I go, what was so amazing about project design?
That the speaker grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me and yelled at me during the session.
Oh, that's what did it? I'll keep my hands off of you, Chris. But that becomes a fun, entertaining engagement. So first is you get to learn something. You get essentially edited information. Second is, if I was interested in project design, I'd be like, boom, immediately qualified. This is the person I need to talk to because of interest. But if no worries about it. But that's the other valid thing. So it also puts puts it in the person you're meeting's court. It doesn't become, hi, let me tell you about me and how wonderful I am. It's, I'm first and foremost interested in you, which is very important with networking. And we'll talk more about that. All right, so let's do this where we just, let's get into 2 lines, and we're just gonna kind of network with each other. We're gonna do an exercise. So just, let's make 2 lines right here where you're facing each other. So just sort of, essentially everybody have a partner. And be it with somebody you don't know. Be with somebody you don't know already. All right? All right, is everyone across from somebody? All right, everyone hold it. If we have an odd number, I will fill in the gap. Does everyone, here, let me here. I'm gonna go down the middle and just make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be yours. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect, perfect. Good. All right, so here's the goal. And I'm gonna set, in 75 seconds, this is fast. In 75 seconds, actually, we may need to stagger this because we're gonna be on top of each other. So like, every other kind of pull back this way. So we're not in everybody's face here, see, because it is kind of tight. In 75 seconds, learn something about this person, and I will learn something about you as well, okay? This is very important right now. So here, let me set the timer. And we're gonna go, whoops. On your mark. Do it any way you want. Figure it out any way you want. You've done this, find out anything you want. All right. All right. Go. Stella. All right, did everyone learn something about the other person? Doesn't have to be this, it could be anything. All right, here's what I need to do. We need to now get into groups of 4. So, okay, we'll be a group of 4, 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 and you make a group of 6. Make a group of 6, here. Hold on, wait, so we're a group of 4. Here's what has to happen. Just you have to be at least a group of 4. The 2 pairs have to get, oh, here's what you need to do. Now, you've learned something. I need to now introduce, and your hands, and I've already forgotten your name. This is a bad mistake on my part. Stella, I have to introduce Stella to these 2 people of what I have learned, and vice versa. Stella has to do the same, and then these 2 gentlemen to me as well. Let's try to do this all in a minute and a half, okay? Got it? Very quickly. So the question is, how actively were you listening? What was happening? And can you make an introduction of somebody else? All right? Ready? Go. Chris. A. Is that really just the letter A?
Let's go with that.
All right. This is Stella, who I just mentioned, UI designer at Fortinet, specifically network security, which tell us about, hey, can you tell us about Chris?
So Chris is responsible for all the election fraud that happened recently.
You're responsible?
But he's working on elections technology behind that and is trying to some ideas related to maybe blockchain and that we can
Chris, what were you doing?
Works in data science, and he was at a blockchain session today. And
right, thank you very much. And, oh, we're over a little bit? Hold on, let it go actually. Just a few more seconds. 5 more seconds. Okay. All right, wrap it up. How difficult was that? How difficult was that? Was that hard? Not for you, so did everyone remember, was able to make the introduction of what the other person does, or whatever you learned about them, yes? So it wasn't that hard. People don't do this enough. This is one of the best ways to ingratiate yourself to someone, is to not force them to tell their story, but to tell their story for them. And the big thing about doing that is it makes it clear that you were paying attention, all right? That you actually care about the other individual. This is a simple tactic. Show it. So much of sales, if you've ever been in sales, I mean, networking is really about sales, is getting the person to like you. And if you make it clear that you're not being selfish in the entire process, it's a way for them to care about you. And the other thing is, almost always, if you go out of the way to do this, they will inevitably reciprocate. And they will also go out of the way to make introductions for you, because they have locked that information. They go, oh, okay, well, hey, I met Stella, who's a UI designer in security for Fortinet, and if I meet someone who that would be of interest to, I go, oh, I met Stella, you should talk to her, kind of thing. That's really, really key to be able to communicate whatever it is, the thing that you do or the thing that you're interested in, even if it's someone completely has zero interest whatsoever, because they're going to inevitably talk to someone who will be interested. And it's key to make that sort of positive moment. All right, so let me ask you this one question. Does anyone know, by the way, this question there's a correct answer to. Does anyone know who the most important person at this event is? There's one person who's the most important person. Who is that? Yes, Peter. Peter Kellner. Why is Peter Kellner the most important person?
Because he's like the core organizer person. I mean, between him and Tammy, and then the other folks that I don't. Hoping not. This is being recorded. Oh God! I don't want to leave anyone out. This is why you never met.
No, but I was saying the most important. Yes, Tammy's very important. Many other people are very important, but I'm talking about the most important. Peter, you're the most important. He is, and for this sole reason, and I learned this years ago because I've been covering this event. I don't know if you guys have been around. I've shot video at this event for many years. Is he will connect you to the key person, all right? But you have to communicate to him who you want to connect with. And this is for anyone who feels uncomfortable walking into a room, if you will. You know, I was mentioning this to, there's someone here I was just talking, Sean right here. One of the most uncomfortable things, and I'm sure we've all felt this, I have felt this myself, you walk into a room, there are hundreds, if not thousands of people in there, you don't know one person. It is one of the most lonely feelings, all right? It's incredibly lonely feeling, and you want to run the hell away. Here's how you combat that feeling. Walk into the room armed with a name, not just anybody's name, the equivalent of Peter Kellner's name. And the way you do that, you contact the event beforehand and go, hi, I'm really interested in SV New Tech, SF New Tech. I'm interested in this. I'm interested in joining your organization. I'm interested in learning more. I'm coming tomorrow night. Who should I talk to? They will be happy to give you. And more importantly, if you, Chris, are that person, and I say, oh, here's Chris. Chris, I'm David Schwark. I got contact beforehand, was really interested. Well, Chris knows friggin' everybody here. I just make it clear to Chris what I'm interested in, what I need. He goes, oh, well, you need to meet Stella over here, kind of a thing. Whatever it is. So that's a really, really key, good tactic to use, especially if you get very uncomfortable in those moments of walking into the room where you don't know anybody. So we're actually going to play a game where you're all going to very, very quickly figure out who you find most valuable in this room, for that matter. All right? So we can just kind of do it in the space that we are in right now. By the way, I realize that my back is to this camera this entire time, which is not a smart thing to do. All right, so this game is called I Like, and the way this game works is I make a statement, and if you agree with me, you walk towards me, all right? So if I'm going to make this very simple. If I say I like chocolate, those people who would agree with me would walk towards me. So I like chocolate. Okay, now, So, but what we're going to do is we're going to do this very specific to, yeah, and that's a good question, how far? If you highly agree, run to me. If you just kind of agree, you take a step, kind of a thing. If you disagree, you walk backwards, okay? The point of this is we're going to very quickly find out where our interests lie. So I'm going to go around the room, and people will say different things, but I want you to be specific to the content of this event. So you can say, I like a certain programming language, or I like, working in this kind of thing. And then the people who have mutual interests do the walk towards or away to that person. So I like, what do you?
Blockchain technologies.
All right, so those people who are interested.
Wow.
Blockchain. Not a lot of interest, but right here, now you know. Little bit of interest with Chris right here. I like, Sean?
The cloud, AWS cloud.
You like any cloud. Okay, who's walking towards Sean? All right here, we got some. Now, here's the key thing. Sean, look at the people who are walking towards you. You only took a half a step right here. All right, I like what?
IoT.
IoT. Turn around. Is there anyone in IoT? Look at all this IoT. Now look, you have to pay attention to who's walking towards you right now. Right now, these people are all qualified, and you should be talking with them after this event. I like?
AWS.
AWS. Are you going to be going to reInvent?
Yes.
I will be there as well. All right. And let's do this a couple more times. I like, Sarah?
Using Git on the command line.
All right. You should have said Peter Kellner. Get on the command line. All right. Are you looking at all the people? Are you all looking at Sarah? So these is all an excuse of who's going to be networking with whom after this. Got it? So while you can't do this in a normal networking environment, just making your intentions clear, and then people responding to it, and this is a good way to do it. All right. So let's, yes.
If you can influence an event, there are some people who put little stickers on their badges, which help you say, oh, I like this, without actually, right? So then that helps a little bit.
Well, you have power of producing the event as well. Yeah, that's a good idea. All right. Tell Peter. Yes, tell Peter. All right. So let's talk about things you can do that are bad networking behavior. Give me an idea. Stella, what's a really bad networking behavior? Something I should not do that would turn people off? What do you got?
Talk about yourself.
That's a good one. What else? What would be a bad networking behavior?
Hide in a corner.
So how does that one go about hiding in a corner? Like literally just go to a corner and stand there?
Pretty much.
All right. What about a bad networking behavior, Chris?
Be distracted, look at your watch or your phone while you're talking to someone.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Bad networking?
Not making eye contact.
All right, so the point I bring that up is, and this is what we do. Do you guys want to participate? Come on up. Yes? No? All right. The reason I bring that up, and this is what we do when we do our trade show training, is when you do bad networking behavior, and I will just tell you, the classic one is staring at your phone. Like, everyone does it. Everyone stares at their phone. Because it's a nervous tick. It's like, oh, I'm in this environment. I got to look like I'm busy. I'm going to stare at my phone kind of thing. The problem is, if you stare at your phone, you're signaling, I do not want to talk with you. Okay? That's a big no-no. So one of the things we do in our training, by the way, in a trade show environment, if you're working a booth, because you're kind of on stage and you're being presented, the classic ones are staring at your phone, eating in the booth, drinking in the booth. You can eat and drink, just not in the booth. And also in a network environment, it's accepted that you eat and drink. Yes, what?
Question. I have a friend who just talks all the time and doesn't give me a chance to talk. So how do you deal with that?
That's a good one. Sometimes you just can't win there. The other thing, spend less time with that friend. But no, I mean, I'll tell you a quick story about that. There's, anyone know a radio personality by the name of Alex Bennett? Anyone remember him from back in the day? What's the radio? He used to have a very, very popular morning show in the early 90s here in the Bay Area. Like, it was really, really huge and popular. And he's kind of a legendary broadcaster, been around forever. And I had dinner with him once, and he spent the entire 90 minutes, I think it was, talking about himself, the whole night. And I'm friendly with his producer, and I told it to her, you know, and her response to that was, he's got a special talent, doesn't he? So that's the way I see the people who talk. It's like, it's just the skill that they have. But I want to get to a way you can turn a negative to a positive, and this is more in one of these trade show type environments. Besides talking on your phone, eating and drinking, again, in a party environment, eating and drinking is normal. And also, one of the classic cases is, say we were working in the same booth, and we both have our same blue shirts on, like kind of thing. This, with my back to the floor, and we're talking to each other, we know each other, this says, nobody talk to us. Yeah, don't ever do that. If you and I want to talk, we're facing the floor, and we're chatting, but we're opening ourselves up to Christopher and Sarah and whomever else that we want to chat with at that time. So what we always suggest is to have either a code word or a code action that visibly looks positive when someone's doing something negative. So, John, if you were staring at your cell phone right now, I would come up to you and go, John, high five, right here. And what that says to everyone here, it just seems that like John and I are good buds and look good, but I just saw that John was doing something bad. And instead of me going up to John and going, John, hey, seriously, put your freaking cell phone down. I make a very positive, and to the rest of the world, we're having a freaking great time. They don't realize I just told them, like, stop doing the negative thing that makes you look horrible right now. So that works really, really, really well. So if you're with a friend, like in a normal networking environment, and you have a friend that's there, you can just like have a code word or a code action. Like if you catch each other doing something wrong, instead of saying, hey, stop being a wallflower, come over here, kind of a thing, rather have a code word or a code action or something like that. Speaking of that, don't just hang out with your friends the entire time. That's another bad networking behavior as well. All right, so other key networking behaviors are just being present. Having your physical body open to others. Back to the floor, closing people out. Like so, if Christopher and I are talking, instead of chatting with you like this, and if I want, here's the thing. If I wanted to invite other people in, I'd be more open, body language, open here, where I've been talking, and I can say, I've been chatting with Christopher right here. I go, John, come join me over here. I want to tell you about X, Y, and Z, this kind of a thing. So you look really, really good in a networking environment if you can kind of hold court, if you will. Like if I can bring in Christopher, and I can bring in John, and I can bring in Chris, and I can bring in Sarah and John. If I can bring in everybody and hold court, and more importantly, if I know them all and I can make all these introductions. Think about this for one moment. Does everyone know like the mega connector in your life? Like the one person who knows friggin' everybody? I mean, Peter Kellner is one of them. But I mean, you think about that person. Now think for a moment how you feel about that person. Pretty darn positively, right? Like you probably don't have one negative thought about them, all right? Because they are the person that go out of their way. Think about if other people thought about that of you. That'd be huge, all right? So that's one thing to go out of your way and do. All right, so we're gonna do another thing. Let's break out into groups of two. Different people, don't match up with the same person, but just get into groups of two. Here, I will join you, because we're an odd. Everyone get in groups of two, and we're gonna do something called listener and talker. And what's gonna happen is, for 45 seconds, one of you is gonna either describe like an app you wanna build, or just some technology that you're interested in. You could just say it like that. It's just some technology that you're interested in, why you're interested in it, for about 45 seconds. The job of the other person is just stay silent and actively listen, and then after that 45 seconds, and I will let you know, you need to repeat back what you just heard, okay? And then I'll also ask a follow-up question, all right? So, Java, it could be anything. It could be just any kind of technology you're interested in. It could be an app you're interested in making, or a technology. All right, whoops. There we go. On your mark. Hold on. All right, I'm going to say, ready. On your mark, get set. Michael, tell me about your technology. Go ahead, I'll be off mic. Everybody stop for a second. Were you able to do this? Were you able to repeat back and actually keep asking follow-up questions? We're all good at that? All right. Now, I'm going to switch the roles, have the other person describe the technology, but here's the important thing. If you weren't already doing it, you need to maintain direct eye contact with the person literally the entire time. Don't even slightly do that or that, not at all. Complete eye contact. I'm telling you, it's unnerving like you wouldn't friggin' believe, but it's pretty darn powerful. So really force yourself for 45 seconds to not stray away, even for a moment, from that other person's eyes. Got it? All right, ready? Whoops, here. Begin. All right, switch. Or have the person repeat that. I know, but you and I both had to straight away. It's tough. It's really freaking tough. But do you feel that I'm more interested in you because I keep looking at you? Or do you feel unnerved? Let me ask a quick question. Sarah, John, how tough was it to literally keep your eyes locked?
Yeah, it was hard.
It's friggin' unnerving, isn't it?
Oh, I'm crazy. I can do it all day.
Do it all day? Gentlemen, right here. Cameron, how tough was it?
It was extra challenging when I couldn't, or I had to have him repeat something, and so I did break it when I was like, what was that?
Because it was hard to hear. All right. So it isn't an easy thing to do, and there does become a point where it feels unnerving, but do you feel that the person actually gave a rat's ass about you because they did force that connection? Because, you have this situation where I'm talking with you, and then I do one of these, and I go, and yeah, I'm like this and this. I mean, that you don't feel that I'm caring about you as much, yes or no?
Actually, I've heard that if you rotate your eyeballs around, it helps you think better. So I didn't think about this being an issue of all the problems I have.
Right, no, it's not. And by the way, I don't ever expect anyone to literally lock for 45 seconds to a minute straight. But I will tell you, if any of you are ever doing on-camera interviews, you want to lock to the lens or to whoever you are for the entire time. I cannot stress that enough because shifting eyes looks really, really bad on camera and really untrustworthy, yes.
So, but it is, although I have complete confidence in your recommend for camera, it is important to pay attention to who you're talking to. And it turns out that if they're averting their eyes, it's kind of appropriate to,
But if the camera is locked on you, it doesn't matter what they're doing. Yeah. I was just talking about camera. Yes.
So camera rules fully recognize David as an expert, right? I'm just pointing out that Sarah in particular has, lock avoidance behaviors, and it's polite to not.
No, but the point I'm making, look, I wouldn't expect anyone to do this 100%, but I'm just saying is, when you force yourself to go all the way, it can be kind of difficult and unnerving. All right, let's, we got through a lot of material so far. But I want to play a game. Actually, you know what? Everyone you're talking to, let's do this. We're going to do this very quickly. Go back to back right now, back to back with the person you're talking to. All right, and I'm going to do it with you, Michael, in just a second. Hold on. What you're going to do, everyone's back to back. Here's what I want you to do. You each now have to describe what the other person is wearing, any other distinguishing characteristics about that person, and ready and go. And just, go one at a time and see how much you remember. So, what do you, all I know is I know you have a, That's enough. That's enough. How good or bad did you guys do on this? Were you a disaster or it was good?
It was okay, I would say. I got some of the things right, but I wouldn't say everything.
How good or bad did you do it?
I think we both matched each other well.
So you were.
He did very well. I did very poorly.
All right. I want you to know most people screw this up, just so you know, in general. Most people do screw this because they, like, if you know really good police officers, they are trained in observation and learning and, you know, always sort of taking key things. So this is just a good exercise to, you know, become more observant, if you will. All right, with our 5 minutes left, let's do, we're just going to do these some more practice exercises. But let's, this one I'm not going to do everybody because it'll be too chaotic right now. All right, so let's see, I've already sort of picked on everybody. Who I haven't picked? I haven't picked on you, Greg. All right, Greg. Greg, go, walk up to anybody, and this is what I was going to do. I just want you to use any kind of opening line, begin talking, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ding, all right? And what that means, whatever you just last said, choose something else to say, okay? You'll see what I mean by this, okay? Just say something else, okay? So take the conversation to, and I'm going to put the microphone on you. So, Greg, walk up to somebody and begin.
All right. So are you enjoying the conference today?
So far, so good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's actually my first time at a Silicon Valley Code Camp, and I'm enjoying actually being able to meet some other software developers since I come from a very small shop. We're a healthcare company, so there's not actually you know, a lot of software developers. The only other software developer that works with us is actually remote from Texas. So on site, I'm it. I have nobody.
Ding.
So with the shop that I have being so small, it's nice to be able to get out and talk with other software developers and get new perspectives on how to, you know, move forward with different technologies and what's in the market.
Great. What's your favorite thing so far today?
Ding.
Let's see. How are you liking this?
Ding.
Have you met David Spark?
Yeah. Good. So this was just a simple exercise. I want to kind of run through a couple of things. The point of that, the point of playing this game, this little ding game, is that there's more than even A, B on options and things that you can talk about. That whatever the last thing you said is, you could be saying something else. You could be saying something else too. You can say so. There are always different variations of how you can take this. Everyone kind of thinks, you remember when you were in college, the opening line was what your major is, like there are 12 other ways to go down that line, So always challenge yourself not to do the thing that's the most generic thing there. You may always have this sort of company the pitch or the pitch the way who you are, but you don't always have to go that way. So always think to yourself, if I were to yell ding, what else would you say at this point? All right. We are, with just the last 2 minutes, I just want to talk about ending a conversation and then a couple of fun tech tips on networking, actually. So ending a conversation, does anyone have an idea of one of the best ways to end a conversation? If I'm done talking with you, Sandeep, or you're done talking with me, how will we end the conversation?
It was great meeting with you, David.
Very good. That is good. Even better ways. What's another good way of ending a conversation?
Hey, do you want to go grab a drink at the bar? No,
oh, you didn't end the conversation. That conversation's going to keep going. All right? So what I would say to you, Sandeep, is there's one extra step that I would have added to what Sandeep says. If I'm done talking with Sandeep, I put out my hand, look right at Sandeep and say, Sandeep, great to talk with you. Enjoy the rest of the show or enjoy the rest of the event. Really, that is, there's a lot of other variations, but honest to God, all conversations shouldn't last forever, especially at a trade show. You need to kind of go in volume, not, you got to talk to a lot of people. Just politely look the person in the eye, shake their hand, thank them for talking. And the other thing, like the point I was making before, especially if the person's not qualified, what you should do is whatever your one line is to describe, like Stella told me she's a UI designer in security, Stella would say to me, shake my hand, and you would say?
Nice talking to you about security.
Nice talking with you. But what I would add, I go, David, it was nice talking with you. Just to remind you, I'm that person who's a UI designer in network security. The point of doing that is, now I remember Stella, that's what she does. So if I run into someone who's interested in that, you have to talk to Stella. And that's always a good thing to do, when, especially for someone who's disqualified. Someone who's qualified, you've probably already dumped all that information, and to add that at the end would seem kind of weird. So, all right, we're wrapping up. I'm going to just give you 2 quick last tech tips for networking. Tech tip number 1, whatever you do, don't fall into the trap of, all right, well, I'll just email you after this, okay? How many people have done the, I'll email you after this, and either you don't email, they don't email, and or nobody responds? How often does that happen? It happens a lot, right? Happens way too friggin' much, way too much. We all have our calendars in our pocket. You want to get together, Chris? Pull out your phone. Let's find a time both works for us. Whatever you can do, avoid as much as you possibly can that email later thing, because people, when they talk to you at an event, I mean, I've had it, we've all had this before, this whole sense of, it looks like they're going to close the deal right there with you on the moment, and then you email and you get ghosted and it's the end of it. So if you can get them to do that, just force yourself to say that to them. Say, pull out your calendar, let's find a time right now that works for both of us. The second tech tip, and I've been doing this a lot lately, if you don't already have Google Photos set up on your phone, I recommend you do it, because it has one feature that it will automatically upload all videos and photos shot on your phone. But I meet Chris at an event, and I want Chris to remember me, and I want to remember Chris. And I go, Chris, okay, so I'm here at Silicon Valley Code Camp with Chris, last name. Here, in fact, I'm going to get on so I don't spell it incorrectly. And Chris told me all about, I don't even know what he told me, but he told me about the project design. That's why, because if anyone was really interested. And Chris, what's your email address? And you would tell me your email address. And then this video automatically gets set up. And I can also talk about, oh, and we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, and we already set up a time to talk about that. I then send the link to that video that's up on Google Photos, and now he remembers that moment. He remembers my face. He remembers that. Super, super easy thing to do. Yeah, well, it goes up to my Google Photos, and I just share. That link is in his unlisted video.